I love what you do. I think it's a nice spin on a podcast. I mean, there are so many podcasts, so many golf podcasts.
Folks, you demanded that I break up the sausage fest that is Big Boy Pants Golf, and I come out in style with the leading female speed golfer in the world right now, Lauren Cupp. Thank you for being on Big Boy Pants Golf, YouTube's hottest golf channel.
What's up, Pants? Thanks so much for having me on.
You are currently the number one. I did not cut corners. I went right to the top. Tell us about your fabulous accomplishments.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, I'm currently ranked number one in the world in speed golf. I've got a few titles under my belt, including a world championship, US Open, Japan, British, Irish speed golf champ. So I've traveled all over the world playing this crazy sport called speed golf and hold the US record, one under par in 50 minutes.
I'm watching what you're doing on YouTube. I'm flabbergasted. You're the complete package out there in terms of speed and golf skill. Do you see now, as you are the current number one, anyone trying to take your title? Do you see a few people on the horizon, maybe a fast-running Japanese golfer or an Irish golfer?
Oh, absolutely. Pants. They're right behind me. They're chasing me. I can feel them breathing down my neck. Yes, I actually just got back a few weeks ago from the French Open. I played great, and that was the first time where I played really well. I shot one under the first day and even the second day at a really difficult championship golf course, both in around an hour, and I came in second. And that was the first time I'd played really well and didn't win. So a French pro over there, Emily, who's a really great player and has made me rethink a little bit about my time strategy.
I'm going to tell you this. We're going to get into it later, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for you to shave a lot of strokes in terms, especially the running and time portion, because you're carrying a bag. Insane. But we'll move on from that point. We'll get to it later. You own a semi-private golf course in central New York.
Yes, yeah. Golf is my livelihood, regular golf. My husband and I own a semi-private golf course, which is great and allows me to play a lot of speed golf because I know when there are people out there just by looking out my window, which is certainly a benefit to that. And I also coach the men's women's teams at Hamilton College, which is in the golf biz as well.
Hamilton College, it's insane. You actually played volleyball and did track and field there, and now you're back. It's like you are the homegrown local kid success story.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really love where I live, love where I grew up, but also love the opportunity to travel to a lot of different places as well. But Hamilton is a pretty special place, which is why I haven't left.
I'm from Jersey. I'm going to tell you though, that Northeast winter, come on now.
It's brutal. It really is brutal. And that's why you have to get out of here for a few weeks a year. We just had our first major snowfall a couple days ago. So I'm already itching to go somewhere.
Now, we're going to get into speed golf in general, and these numbers are astounding. You've got people playing 18 holes in just under an hour. That's a legit 6,800, 7,000 yard course.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost all the courses that we play, and certainly all that we play in big legitimate tournaments, are regular golf courses, championship golf courses most of the time. Some of them are not made for running. In fact, some of them are not even made for walking. The course that we played the World Championship at last year is made for golf carts, and people only play with golf carts. So that was like an 8-mile run instead of a traditional 5-mile run. But yeah, I'll play it at legitimate courses, legitimate distances.
Who selected a course that wasn't made for walking to do speed golf on? I mean, that sounds like you're banging up your shins a lot. There's definitely some kind of, Achilles issues going on because you're running on pavement.
Right. No, exactly right. And it does make it a lot more challenging when it's long tee to green.
You also, as you point out, you can do 9 holes in just under 20 minutes. I understand in the summertime, that's a big benefit for you and your husband because you guys are taking alternating shifts, raising 3 wonderful children.
Yeah, absolutely. They're wonderful some of the time. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I wish it took a little longer than 20 minutes. I could use a little longer break. But no, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the great benefits of playing speed golf is that you're still playing golf, but it doesn't take 5 hours or it doesn't take two and a half hours to play 9 holes. You can get your golf and your fitness in a really short amount of time.
I'm getting to the point where once a week golf is the most I can do, is because you're right. 4 hours, 4.5 hour round, half an hour to get there, half an hour to get home. It eats up the whole day.
Right.
This speed golf sounds fabulous because I'm also, as you can probably tell, a fitness enthusiast.
Yes, I can tell that about you, Pants.
It's probably upper pec development, really, but
It is.
we'll get into that later. Speed golf is golf. It's just another format. To me, when I'm watching golf, I'm thinking speed golf is more real golf than alternate shot. When you're watching the Ryder Cup and these guys are going back and forth, that's like putting the burden on half of the burden on another dude. I'm not about that life. I'm about the speed golf life. Convince everyone at home all the benefits of this wonderful, wonderful sport.
There is something that everybody should know about speed golf, and that is that it really is just golf. I mean, you're playing the same game. It's just at a faster, more modern pace. But it's still the same game of golf. And I don't think anybody's pretending that golf is going to be kind of transformed into this crazy fast format for everyone. But it is an option for people that don't have a lot of time, or for people that want to get both their fitness and their golf in at the same time. I mean, who has time to play 18 holes and also get in fitness? But if you can combine the two, you can do both at the same time. And I've also really found that there's tons of benefit to my regular golf game from things that I've learned from speed golf. And I tell my college players that all the time, that we talk about how golf is a sport and golf is athletic. And when you play speed golf, you can feel that it's more reactive and less thinking. And that makes it a real athletic endeavor, which I really like about it. And that really can translate to regular golf game.
You're bringing fewer clubs. You have your own strategy right now. You take 5 to 6 clubs. You take the 6 club of 5 wood, depending on the length of course. If it's longer, you're going to take that 5 wood. In the future, do you think with this French Open competitor lady, Emily, probably pronounced Amelie,
Right.
do you think that you're going to have to rethink some of these strategies? Because when you're in these sports, you know, the swimmers, these dudes are shaving their legs to save a quarter of a second. What other strategies will you go towards? Because now, yes, you're still king of the mountain, or I should say queen of the castle. Do you think there are certain things you're going to switch up now? Because once a sport is in the infancy, there's all these people who are coming up with a better way to do it, especially in the beginning. So you're going to see a lot of strokes coming off now. What do we see you now next year doing differently?
No doubt. And that's really one of my big goals in the off season. I have to find a way to get faster. Because as you said, I mean, I've really relied on my good golf scores to win tournaments. And that's why I've taken more clubs than most, because I do feel I'm a little more of the golfer than the runner. I can make up more strokes playing really good golf. I've already kind of forgone the 5 wood. That dream's over of hitting par 5s in 2 with a 5 wood. So I'm kind of down to 5 clubs, but I think I've got to find a way to shave one more off. And I've toyed with that a little bit the last few weeks, bringing a 5 wood instead of a driver 6-iron. The challenge for me with losing the bag, and I think at some point I will have to lose the bag, but the challenge for me is actually the putting, because in speed golf, you can't leave your clubs or your bag on the green. But it's much too time costly to leave it off the green and have to run back and get it. So you really have to be creative. And that's one of the things that I really like and enjoy about speed golf, is you do have to find a way to be creative. And this is where it gets a little bit dorky when you start talking about, belt loops and hooks and things like that. But it's actually a part that is really fun about it, is that it's creative. But you have to find a way to putt with your clubs on you. And in the past with the bag, it's been great because I can just put it on like a backpack and I can still putt with 2 hands. And I find value in being able to putt it with a somewhat normal stance. Whereas a lot of times you'll see other players hold the clubs and putt with one hand. I haven't really mastered the one-handed putting yet, so I'm not ready to give that up yet. But I do need to get creative this off season and find if there's a way for me to carry my clubs while still putt with two hands.
I think you might have to end up giving up with the two hands, though. I've watched a lot of these speed golf videos now. You got Rob Hogan, last year's British Open champion. He's got the tactical belt going, and that he's tucking him in there and he's running. It's Daniel Day-Lewis, Last of the Mohicans. But then you also have this year's 2023 British Open men's champ. And this dude, three clubs, he's almost doing a putting drill where you kind of keep it under your armpits.
Mm-hmm.
There's a benefit in that, and he's putting with two hands. There's a lot of options here. I can see you shaving easily 8 minutes off via the little bit of technique and via the cardio. There's tons of opportunity here. I'm fired up. I want you to get that French Open title back.
I know. I've got you know I'm going back there next year. I've got to win that back. Yeah, but absolutely. You're right. There's a lot of opportunities to get faster while still playing decent golf.
Now, you're pointing out that with speed golf, less clubs makes you more creative and decisive. You're even looking to probably drop another club potentially in the future. Tell me your current situation where you come up to a shot. What is your yardage range for the clubs you have? Do you go 3/4 swing a lot? What exactly is the dynamic here? Because you have this knowledge that the most of us at home don't have, and we want.
Yeah, you know that horrible feeling in golf when you're in between clubs? That's every shot in speed golf, right? Because you only have a few clubs. So you do have to learn to hit a lot of different shots with the same clubs. And that's also something that I really like about speed golf is that it makes you think creatively about every shot you take. And you're right, you're not always taking a full swing. Sometimes you're taking a 3/4 swing, sometimes you're taking a half swing, sometimes you're swinging out of your shoes, and other times you're choking up an inch and just taking a nice easy swing to take 5 to 7 yards off. So it does make you think creatively about that. There's a lot of forward thinking in speed golf. And, in regular golf, we're so used to waiting until we get to the ball to figure out the yardage, what the wind's doing, maybe if there's an elevation change. Whereas in speed golf, all these things are thought about before you get to the ball. So as soon as you're watching that ball land as you're running down the fairway, you start thinking about, okay, it looks like I'm just outside the 150-yard marker. Oh, I feel a little wind in my face. That's probably going to add 3 or 4 yards. Looks a little uphill. Let's give it +2. I'm thinking about 160 yards. That's going to be a pretty big swing with a 6-iron for me. And so by the time I get to the ball, I've really made most of the decisions. And it's just looking at your target and taking the swing.
To me, what you described there were the actions of an apex predator. You are on your toes. You're moving forward the whole time. This regular golf, it just sounds like I'm going to watch some lambs go out for the slaughter. What's going on here? You're just waiting for bad things to happen. Here, you're going forward. You're charging onto the green, onto the golf course, making things happen.
Right. And there's really no time for bad, ill thoughts. I mean, my gosh, in regular golf, there's so much time to think about what could go wrong. Whereas in speed golf, there's not time to think about that. You've got to really think about the shot ahead of time, and then when you get there, it's just reactive. You're just making the swing, what you had just envisioned as you were running down the fairway.
So as soon as you get to your ball, do you take a quick look at a golf watch to know the yardage, or are you completely like the eagle looking at the field mouse?
A little bit of both. A course that I very rarely will look at a yardage. A course that I'm unfamiliar with, sometimes I'll carry a little yardage thing on my bag or a watch, and I'll take a look at it. I will say it doesn't always keep up, if that makes sense. So you do have to usually take a couple yards off. But yeah, sometimes I'll take a look at that. But the more I play, the more I'm finding that just playing by feel is beneficial than actually having the yardage down to a yard or two. Just kind of taking a look at it and feeling it, especially with the wedges.
That's so apex predator. How good How good are your 30-yard, 40-yard wedge shots? Because, not necessarily your eyes will get it right. So you're probably going to have a lot of these pitch shots.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You do. And I mean, that's probably the hardest part of the game and the part of the game that most people don't want to practice. But like my college kids, we practice that every day that has 30, 40-yard shots because that's how you score is hitting those shots close. Then you never make the big numbers. And that's key in any golf, I'd say.
In terms of key numbers, here's what's confusing to me and probably a lot of folks at home. You're playing fast golf, but now you have to find your ball, which could be in the rough and you could lose time there, or the dreaded lost ball OB. What do we do in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a premium on hitting the ball straight in speed golf. I very rarely swing out of my shoes in speed golf because there's such a premium on and hitting it straight. You don't want to start hitting it sideways where you're running extra, extra miles if you're hitting it sideways. Yeah, it's definitely a panicked feeling if you can't find your ball in speed golf. It's because you kind of hear this clock ticking in the back of your head while you're looking for your ball. I don't look for more than 20 or 30 seconds before I drop a ball. That's one rule that is a little bit different in speed golf. It's all stroke and distance. So generally, if you're playing in a tournament, you're playing with a scorer, with a rules keeper with riding alongside you, and they're kind of helping you to know where your point of entry was if you do end up hitting a ball out of bounds. But as I said, I really don't have that issue a whole lot in speed golf. I'm able to hit it a lot straighter by not swinging as hard.
I watched your video with your scorekeeper. Is the scorekeeper related to you at all?
No.
Because he was
No.
definitely rooting you on. He was.
Oh, yeah, right. No, that I think the video you're referring to was in Rome, and maybe someone I knew loosely. But yeah, I think there were also a few people maybe with a GoPro out there too. But generally, people that play this sport and people that volunteer to watch or score this sport are generally really awesome and really supportive, which is fun. And it helps because it can be a bit of a lonely sport out there by yourself. So if you have someone with you that's really, yeah, encouraging you and rooting you on, it makes a huge difference.
His emotional investment in you made me get emotionally invested.
Hey, thanks. I'll have to tell him that.
What's, to me, super crazy about this whole situation is you came into speed golf by watching YouTube.
I did. I really stumbled upon speed golf. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, it just kind of came up in my feed. ESPN had done a very small clip on it. And this is years ago. This is probably almost 10 years ago now. Had done a small clip on it. And yeah, I looked at it, I'm like, wow, that's really crazy, but I'm going to give it a try. And I, like you, I'm a bit of a fitness nut as well. So I'm like, oh, this might be a really nice fit for me. And it really kind of hit me at a perfect time in my life too. I was still playing a lot of regular competitive golf, which I still play now as well. But I was really finding with a new baby, with a new coaching job, that I just didn't have all the time I used to have before. I didn't have time every day to play 18 holes. I didn't have time to practice for 3 or 4 hours. But it's like maybe if I could learn to play speed golf, I could play 18 holes every day if I could play 18 holes in an hour. And that's kind of what happened. My first 9 holes, actually, we just kind of rounded up a bunch of buddies and people from our Monday night league at the golf course. And we put the video up on the big screen and we're like, come on, let's try it. And a few of them had enough cocktails where they're like, all right, we'll try it. And it was pretty miserable the first time. I mean, we all had our big bags on that we're running with. It was hard, but it made me want to do it again. It kind of gave me the golf itch, the golf bug all over again.
But when you came into speed golf, you had to have a certain amount of track and field cardio, cross country endurance, because you're running at a 7-minute mile pace for the running portion. Then it averages out to 10 minutes when you factor in the golf. How are you getting this level of cardio, especially when I think unwisely you're running around with this big bag?
Right. Yeah. I mean that is the challenge in training for speed golf, and especially for me in the off season when there's snow on the ground. I mean, in the summertime, I just play a whole lot of speed golf, and that keeps up my cardio. But in the off season, you do feel, or I feel like I have to train in two different disciplines. I want to get faster. I always want to get faster, so I'm doing a lot of running. I'm doing a lot of speed training, but I also don't want to lose the golf game over the off season. So I'm in the TrackMan too. So it is a balance between the two, but the cardio is certainly important. If you get too tired, the golf game goes downhill quickly. You chunk the ball a lot if you're really tired. That's a pretty common thing in speed golf to see people running down 18 and hit one fat. So you have to constantly remind yourself, especially in the last few holes, even though you're tired, you have to still make that aggressive swing.
I don't know if you realize this, but you've combined the track with the TrackMan.
I did not realize that. You know what would be awesome? I always thought if I could get a treadmill in the TrackMan room, that would be awesome, right? Then you could actually do the training at once where, maybe you're doing some interval training in between and then hitting shots. That would be fun.
Well, to me, it's interesting because let's say you're on the range. If you're a speed golfer, I don't think you can just go up there and hit balls willy-nilly, work on the technique, because that's not what it's really like as an apex predator on the course. You need the heart rate up. You need to have more of that biathlete training. So how
Mhm.
are you training for cardio right now? How are you training for golf? And then more importantly, how are you training when they're combined?
Yeah, I do just really try to play a lot of speed golf. Even if there's a couple inches of snow on the ground, like if I can get it in, that is the best way to train, is just to play. Because there is a large learning curve, and you'll find that like if you try it the first couple times, you'll be like, wow, this has ruined my golf game. My golf game stinks. But the more you play, the closer your speed golf scores get to your regular golf scores. It's actually quite fascinating.
I know for your heart rate control, you're saying that basically you just got to put it into play and get out there and do it. But you got to have a few tricks up your sleeve. Please tell us. We won't tell French Open champion Amelie.
Good. Don't share with her. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You do have to get used to swinging with your heart racing. And as a side note, that has also helped my regular golf game, in that like those first tee jitters where your heart is racing really fast or really quickly, that's a very familiar feeling to me now. So that doesn't bother me at all. But you do get used to swinging with your heart racing. And if you think about it, that's not unlike most other sports. Um, at the same time, those fine motor skills, especially the putting, I do try to lower my heart rate a little bit by the time I get to the ball. And some of that is done by the time it takes for me to put my bag on my back. That few seconds with a couple deep breaths gets my heart rate low enough where I feel like I can make that kind of that fine motor skill of a putt.
I've noticed from the videos that that's where you can tell that you're breathing the most. When you're putting, I can hear you sucking for a little bit of air.
Yeah.
You're still in control, but it's noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, that's when you're taking a break, right? I mean, it's a lot less of a distance run. It's a lot less of a 5 mile run and more of intervals. It's running quickly and then slowing it down, then running quickly and then slowing it down.
In the fitness biz, we call that high intensity interval training.
Hmm.
Not really, maybe. I just not
I-
that high, but moderately high, and then bringing it back. Maybe how about the fart leg? Is that more of like the
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yes.
okay?
The
Okay,
sprint, the walk, the run. Yes.
there we go. Do you think the way you see the trajectory of speed golf going that it's the next pickleball?
I hope so. And that I hope people that play golf try it and see that it's a really fun format and a really fun way to play golf. As I said before, I mean, I do think that tennis and pickleball are two different sports. They're similar, certainly. There's similar things that you need to do in both. But speed golf really is just golf being played quickly. Um, and I want people to know, because there are haters out there. that I don't think anybody is trying to say that golf is going to totally turn into speed golf. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of regular golf. My gosh, I love regular golf. I play in USGA events, I play in state events. I go play 9 holes with my buddies and have a beer after. Like, regular golf is awesome. Um, but people should know that there is this different way of playing golf that is really beneficial to your health and to your regular golf game. So I hope so. I hope that people, especially in the United States, will try it, because I really do believe that if a lot of the haters, the traditionalists, would try it, they would find that they're just playing golf. It's just at a faster pace.
I mean, I'm hooked. I'm definitely going to put out a video on trying it. You've changed my
Awesome.
life. I'm sure at least a few people at home are going to try it. Folks at home, everyone should check out the Speed Golf USA website. That's where you can get started. I'm lucky that there's a course within 15 minutes of my house. What's interesting to me, Lauren, is they've actually maximized the fact that when you tee off on the front nine, the back nine's completely open. So to send the speed golfers off on the back nine, get your, optimize the use of the course more.
There are a lot of ways to get speed golf in, and I think people get a little bit scared about playing because they think they're going to run into somebody all the time. But if you're mindful about when you tee off, that's usually not the case. As you said, early on the morning, just tee off the back nine and you can play 9 holes. A lot of times, speed golf is an early morning sport. And some courses that are very speed golf friendly will take the first 20 minutes of the day. So 20 minutes before the first tee time, and have that allocated to speed golfers. And you can get in 20 golfers in that 20-minute. I mean, just going off once every minute. And that first tee time will never even know you were there unless they see you running by on an opposite hole. But that is a great way for people to try it, is book that first tee time of the day and just see if you can play quickly. And it doesn't need to be at this really elite speed where you're sprinting in between shots. I mean, trying it for the first time may just mean taking a few clubs in each hand, walking briskly, jogging in between a few shots, not taking practice swings, thinking ahead of time. That can be the first few times you go out. Just trying to play at a much faster pace than you're used to.
What's interesting is some people actually play better this way.
Yes, there are tons of people that play better playing faster. And I think the reason for that is that it takes the head out of it. It takes all those negative thoughts away, all those negative swing thoughts. It takes the overthinking just totally out of it. And it makes it more athletic, more reactive. And a lot of times you'll see you can shoot really low scores. And that's true with me too, Pants. I mean, I've shot a lot of under par rounds. I've shot 68, I've shot 69 in tournaments with just 5 clubs in under an hour. And I've done that in days where I've shot 75 in a regular tournament in 5 hours the day before.
I love the fact that speed golf almost gets into the Zen mindset. We're going from the head to the feet. What shoes do you wear when you're playing speed golf?
So always sneakers. You obviously really want to take care of the course, so you don't want to run in anything that would do any damage to the green. So always sneakers. If I'm competing, I wear lightweight sneakers just like I would if I were running in a race. The nice thing is you're running on grass most of the time, so there's not a whole lot of extra pounding like there would be if you were running a road race of the same distance.
We are in the middle of a slow play epidemic and an obesity crisis. Speed golf solves both. Lauren, thank you so much for being the first lady on this channel. Everyone at home, yes, I did it. We have a female on and she's a champion.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm hoping that something cool is going to come up in the next few months. So there's somebody over in South Africa that's very passionate about getting speed golf over there, and they don't have it over there. But I think there may be an opportunity for me to go over there in February, which would be cool.